Let's jump right into this explainer. Imagine an AI that doesn't just draft a quick email for you, but actually goes out, negotiates a contract, updates your calendar, and literally pays an invoice, all while you're fast asleep. That is the massive shift we're living through right now in the world of artificial intelligence. We're moving away from those simple conversational chatbots and entering the wild era of autonomous AI agents. But here's the catch. With this incredible leap in capability comes a vital and entirely new set of design challenges. When an AI can just act on its own, how in the world do we design interfaces that actually keep humans in the loop? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the autonomous AI shift, explore the massive trust gap it creates, and then walk through 3 core design fixes: revealing plans, tiered communication, and shared control. Finally, we'll see how this all comes together to create a truly reliable partnership. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Part 1, the autonomous AI shift, moving from reactive to proactive.
The contrast here is honestly night and day. We are totally past the era where AI just answers questions. Traditional conversational AI, it's highly reactive. It's an instantaneous, single prompt and response transaction. You ask, it answers. Done. But modern agentic AI, it is proactive. It initiates actions, makes complex decisions, and operates completely independently. So instead of a quick chat, computation explodes into this long, often hidden sequence of tasks and tool calls. It's a completely different beast, and our interfaces absolutely need to reflect that reality.
Which brings us to Part 2, bridging the trust gap and dealing with the anxiety of the black box.
Think about it. When an AI operates completely invisibly, taking dozens of actions on your behalf over a long stretch of time, it creates a massive trust gap. You're just sitting there wondering, is it actually doing what I asked? It's honestly a bit like handing an overeager intern your company credit card and just crossing your fingers they buy the right server space instead of, a sports car. Dan Soffer really hits the nail on the head in his foreword to designing AI interfaces. He points out that trust isn't just about the final output being right, it is built entirely on predictable behavior along the way. UI design is the discipline that determines if an AI system actually works for real people in the real world simply by making that behavior predictable.
So how do we do that? Well, let's look at Part 3, Principle 1, Reveal Plans. This is all about solving that translation problem right out of the gate.
Here's our first major design pillar to cure that black box anxiety. Before an agent takes a single action or spends a dime of resources, it absolutely must engage in a process called decomposition. Think of it like a contractor showing you a blueprint before they start swinging a sledgehammer at your walls. The system takes your initial prompt and translates it into a highly structured outline, showing you exactly how it interpreted your goal. It completely takes the guesswork out of the equation because the proposed path forward is mapped out right in front of you.
In practice, platforms like Replit are already doing this by offering a dedicated chat mode specifically to build a plan. By forcing the agent to show this decomposed outline, basically giving us an explicit planning stage, you're creating a firm contract of expectations. It gives you the chance to step in and say, whoa, wait a minute, I meant a web app, not a command line tool. You catch those misunderstandings immediately. You can course correct while it's still cheap and easy instead of waiting around until the AI has spent 20 minutes writing entirely the wrong code.
Okay, so once that plan is approved and the execution kicks off, we reach Part 4, Principle 2, Tiered Communication. It's all about managing cognitive load. Because agentic systems generate a massive, and I mean overwhelming, volume of information. They're constantly calling tools, running scripts, reviewing data. If you expose the user to all of that at once, they are instantly paralyzed by the noise. But on the flip side, if you hide too much, they lose trust. So to strike that perfect Goldilocks balance, progress visibility has to be structured into 4 progressive layers of disclosure: notifications, a Tier 1 overview, a Tier 2 detail, and finally, a Tier 3 full record. Let's break these down.
At the very outermost layer, we just have simple notifications. Interfaces like Lovable allow users to opt in for simple alerts when a task finally completes. These act as quick little signals that let you confidently step away from your screen, go grab a coffee, and return without ever losing track of the task. It perfectly bridges the gap for those moments when your attention simply needs to be elsewhere.
Moving a bit deeper, Tier 1 and Tier 2 overviews provide a highly legible baseline of progress. A super clean task list, like the one Replit uses, shows exactly what subtasks are done, what's currently cooking, and what is still waiting in the queue. It gives you this perfect through line of what is happening, but without exposing all the messy internal computational records.
It is the absolute perfect balance of awareness and simplicity.
And finally, for the folks who need a complete, unvarnished account of exactly what the agent has been up to, Tier 3 provides the full record. ChatGPT handles this really well by visualizing its entire search history and reasoning process. You're probably not going to look at it all the time, right? But just knowing that ultimate layer of accountability is there is absolutely crucial for verifying sources and understanding the exact logic the agent followed. But all of this brings up a pretty vital scenario. What happens if the plan goes wrong mid-execution? If you are sitting there monitoring this tiered progress and you suddenly spot an error, say the agent is analyzing data from totally the wrong quarter, how do you step in without breaking the entire system? Well, the answer lies in Part 5, Principle 3, Shared Control. This is all about establishing boundaries and interruptibility.
Shared control is what ensures you actually feel like an empowered, collaborative partner, rather than just a helpless bystander watching a machine run wild. It means designing for true interruptibility. You need explicit handoffs where the agent literally stops and asks for your review. You need adjustable permission boundaries. You need the ability to safely pause the agent at any intermediate checkpoint, maybe modify a few parameters. And crucially, you need rollback or undo capabilities. That is the ultimate safety net. With those in place, delegating work feels incredibly safe, rather than completely terrifying.
A fantastic example of shared control in action is Claude Code's tiered permission framework. It establishes exact, rigid boundaries on what the agent can do independently versus what requires explicit human approval. Think about it. Read-only tasks like just checking a file, no approval needed, go right ahead. But executing bash commands or modifying core files, that automatically triggers a hard stop for an approval request. This gives you total insight and control over the scope of the agent's access, automatically adjusting to the risk level of the specific task. It's brilliant. Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, the reliable AI partnership, moving from a mere tool to a true collaborator. By combining these three pillars, revealing the plan up front, tiering the communication, and sharing control, we effectively transition the agent from an unpredictable black box into a highly reliable digital collaborator. It's a simple formula. Transparency combined with structure equals a predictable partnership. When designed well, this approach creates a deeply productive environment. The AI handles the complex, routine, computational heavy lifting, and you, the human, provide the essential strategic judgment to actually guide it.
So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider for your own work. As AI agents become increasingly invisible and capable of operating entirely on their own, how will your interfaces ensure the user remains the empowered director rather than just a helpless spectator? It really is the defining design challenge of the AI era. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep designing for human agency.